What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now, Back to the Past. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to look at the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, a game that I skipped over when it first released, but I've had it in my head for a very long time to play this game. I remember Mr. Matty Plays of Retro Rebound. I believe he reviewed the game when it first came out, and I knew a little about this game going in. I knew the whole April Fool's thing, and I mean, that's the first thing kind of to discuss, right? This game actually came out this past year, 2023, on April Fool's, and I don't know if there was ever like a couple seconds where people thought it was just a complete joke, but what this turned out to be is actually one of, if not like the greatest April Fool's pranks, and it's actually tough to even call it that, right? Because the prank, I guess, is just in the name and just the belief that, like, well, there's no way this is an actual thing, right? But no, it's a legit game. Now, it's not long. And I wouldn't say I rushed through it actually at all. This thing takes like under 2 hours to beat. It's not long. I suppose you could replay it, but it doesn't have, in my opinion, too much replay value. It's a one and done kind of experience, but that doesn't take away from the fact that, you know, again, for a game that pops up out of nowhere and it's free, you can play it, you know, you don't have to pay for it. This game actually did really, really well in terms of downloads and people's reception of it. And it was kind of just like a spin-off thing. It was made in 1 year. It was made from their social team. And it's like, this is just something you don't really expect. So while like Sonic Frontiers, you know, kind of brings Sonic back, and actually I never jived with Sonic Frontiers. I made videos on the main channel on that one. I know a lot of people really liked it, and I'm very glad about the reception that Frontiers has gotten, how many Sonic fans are like, yes, we're back. That's great. That's great. But you know what? There's this little old game right here that's actually incredibly cool. And to be honest with you, I mean, the tagline, like, it's better than it has any right to be, okay? And honestly, I mean, it all starts with just the fact that it is like an April Fool's Day prank, but it turns out to be, you know, when I look at a game like Danganronpa, and I think about Danganronpa often, I don't actually talk about it all that much. Maybe one day we can do a video on it on this channel. Danganronpa as a franchise is just like almost unbeatable. And Danganronpa 1, I think, is legendary. Legendary game. In terms of the point and click, now there's a lot more to Danganronpa than pointing and clicking, and it's also just not even just all that, right? But the detective work, the twists, the turns, just everything, the character development, the conversations, the relationships, the way things go. Danganronpa's like unbeatable. This game obviously reminds me quite a bit of Danganronpa without being nearly, like, it's not even close, I would say, to being as good, but it definitely gives off the same vibes, and it's like, you know what? They did a really, really good job. Now, I will say this, it's tough, like, I want people that haven't played this game to play it. So at least in this beginning portion of the video, I don't want to say the major twist, because there is like one major element that if you say it, it kind of throws everything off. So we're going to leave it. I'm probably going to make like a spoiler section of this video, but if you haven't played this game yet, let's talk about it in like a spoiler, you know, free session, and then we'll go into spoilers. So this game, visually, you know, point and click, graphic novel type game. You're reading a lot. The characters are popping up, and this game is like deep. Like, I'm not even the biggest Sonic fan, so there were some characters that I didn't know or I've seen them maybe once or twice, but you know, they're not like in my mind. But you got the classics of like Sonic, obviously, and Amy and Tails and Shadow and etc. And I mean, like, visually, they're very, very well done. And I would say this, beyond, like, the looks are one thing, but kind of like their personality. You know, everything's written, everything you're going to have to read, but, like, the game has such a charm to it. The game has such a personality to it, because these are characters that, yeah, you can't hear them. You can't have the voice actor kind of bring it to life. You're only reading, and even a game like Danganronpa has kind of both. You read a lot, but the characters do also talk, so you can kind of put a voice to a character and the spunk or personality, right? Like, you can hear that, and then when you read, you can kind of connect the dots. And this you can't, but you still get the sense of who these characters are. When Sonic is talking, you can very much picture Sonic talking. When Amy, Tails, you know, whoever it might be, you can actually do that. And then it's actually like a pretty solid murder mystery. Now, again, like, spoiler free, there's a couple twists and turns, not too many, and it's a very linear game. I'd say that. It has a twist, like, towards the end, but generally you're going straight forward. It's very hard to mess up. The game helps you out quite a bit, and again, you're always going on a straight path. You're always going to like the next train booth or whatever they call it. Like, you're always going forward, okay? So in that, it's very simple. Like, this is a simple detective-like game. Again, though, I'm not saying it's a masterpiece, but when you play a game for free on April Fool's Day, it's called the Murder of Sonic. It's like, what in God's name is going on? And they pull it off. It is a pretty good mystery. It does have a couple twists that are pretty cool. It's got some intrigue with the characters where you're like, something's going on here. And I don't know, it's really fun. It's also, like I said earlier, in terms of like the length, it's very digestible. Like, it takes a night, not even a night, to beat this game and to kind of get the full experience. One thing, though, I want to throw out is, and this is still spoiler free, is I didn't actually know this, or if I did, like, I watched Maddie's video on it, but I feel like maybe it was when I wasn't giving it my full attention. I don't remember too much about it. So there's one section that pops up. It's a reoccurring section, gameplay. You actually do gameplay, and it is a form of Sonic gameplay where you are collecting rings, and it's simplified. It's not what we're kind of accustomed to, like, legendary, older time Sonic, but it's still actually rather fun. It's actually really fun, and it constantly does, like, if there's anything in this game that gets harder, those sections are at least a little bit of a challenge. You got to get your fingers a little stretched out. You got to be able to, jump over and get the rings and all that. Like, it's got a little complexity to it. And as you go, I guess, forward in the game, it actually becomes like decently challenging, but it's fun. It mixes up the vibe in terms of like visuals and just kind of a different, I don't know if you'd say genre, I mean, maybe a genre, but also just, it's just a different kind of game, and they're injecting it into this one. It gets you a little bit into Sonic because, spoilers, you don't play, I mean, this isn't even actually spoilers, like, you don't play as Sonic, so that is the only time that you are, and it reminds you of like the classic, age-old Sonic. So I didn't actually know that going in. So when I was playing those sections, I was like, okay, and it's like the mind puzzle. Like, it is what Danganronpa would do, or what any of these games kind of would do, where when you're trying to like put it all together, you're trying to make the mystery, you're trying to solve the mystery, and you have to think. And I believe that's literally what they say in this game is like think. And thinking in this game, I guess, equates to getting a bunch of rings and dodging obstacles, the ground falling or missiles fire. Like, it's just really fun. And I didn't really know that going in. So playing it, it's like, yeah, pretty solid, like maybe average, above average detective mystery type game. And then it's got a little age-old Sonic, obviously not like going all the way in. And I don't know, like, do you value it at like what it's priced at? So $0. And I'd say this is a very, very good product. So I want to leave it there because there's actually not too much more you could say without spoiling it. So let's get into spoilers if you have played the game. Again, if you haven't, just, take 2 hours out of your life, play this game. Spoiler section, okay? I did not know what happens to Sonic. So, like, you see the name. I don't think Maddie talked about it in the video. And again, like, I watched that back in April. So it's been a while. I've played, I don't know, like 35, 40 games since then. There's a lot of stuff up here in the old noggin. So I honestly have forgotten. So maybe I'll go back and watch his video now. But I forgot. So I don't know if he did, if he didn't. I didn't know, like, okay, the way the game is framed, I didn't think he was actually dead. And the way that they go about it with Sonic, it's more like he's knocked out, he's like beaten up, right? Like, he's not. But I don't know, like, it has the vibe. It's kid-like in nature, where it's like they wouldn't slaughter, Sonic the Hedgehog, right? Like, that wouldn't happen, right? But then it's like, well, I don't know, like, because the whole point is the, like, murder mystery night, right? Which, and again, I didn't know that either. That is so clever. So the game opens up, right? It's Amy's birthday, and to celebrate, you're going to play a game where, one of you is going to die, and everybody's got their roles. So you have to go perform your tasks, and, you have a certain amount of time. I think, whatever, it's an hour or so, and in that time, you're able to make your kill, and obviously it was taken just a little bit too far in terms of the not the poison dart, but, a dart that definitely took it too far. So that's one element throughout the entire game where it's like, man, are they gonna go for it? But it doesn't seem that dark. But it's also like, it doesn't matter if it's dark or not. They removed Sonic from the playing field for the majority of the game. And then there's the other twist towards the end where, the train is sentient with the robot and Dr. Eggman and all this stuff. And I actually think that was very clever because I was suspecting the conductor, right? You at the beginning of the game and he's talking about the retirement, and he's been with the train for so long, and very much this not necessarily brotherhood vibe, but very much like this love for for his craft, for his job. And then he's not there, right? He's not present, and the train is like crashing and all this stuff. It's like, okay, where did the guy go? So the entire game, I actually like, even though you're talking the suspects, and sometimes things don't add up, and they're lying to Amy and all this stuff. And by the way, the fact that like you're just there to like make sure everybody's like having fun, and Amy is like this detective, journalist, right? Reporter. Tails is like the detective. That's just so clever, like them kind of going into that personality. But I was kind of suspecting the conductor the entire time, where it's like, where is this guy? And then obviously, him being captured, I believe, like from the very beginning, right? He was captured. He was kind of out of the playing field. That's really cool. And obviously at the end of the game, the train again, attacks, and you kind of restart from like ground zero in terms of your starting location. And I was like, oh man, is there like a part two? Like, is part two as long as part one? And really it's not, right? You just go through a couple booths and you do the mini game. And I would say like that is where the game was the most fun. It was maybe not the most interesting because the twist had just happened, right? So now it's just getting to the very end of the game, but that's where the gameplay really ramps up, right? We have to get like 100 rings by the end of it. It's like you can't mess up more than like once or twice with those rings, otherwise you're going to fail the mission. But I thought that was really fun. And then even like, I guess the ending, right, where it's like the robot just didn't want him to leave, right? Like they were together for so long, and if he retires, like what's going to happen to them? And it's like that's really, I don't know, it's got a fun little message to it. It's got an emotional, like it didn't like make me tear up or anything, but it's like, yeah, that's kind of clever. And you introduced some more, in terms of Eggman, right? Like you introduced another classic, I guess, Sonic villain there, but you made it more still about the characters. You brought the you brought him kind of back and into the loop, and it was still kind of about the core group that was on the train in the first place. So I think they did a really good job, especially like talking about it, for this video and thinking about it again. Like it really is better than it has any right to be, because it just kind of happened. It just kind of came out. You would expect nothing. You'd actually expect nothing from this game, or that the game just wouldn't exist in the first place, right? Not that it would be like, yeah, this is a game you can play it like I could see myself going back, even though, I've already played it and it's going to happen. I could see myself going back just to be like, there's not too many games like this. There's definitely not too many games like this that uses the Sonic IP. And that's another like thing, I guess I should have maybe said in the beginning of the video. Not just does it remind me of Danganronpa, and even though it doesn't reach there because that's so legendary, you don't have a lot of those games. And the fact that this game is almost breaking the fourth wall because it is a murder mystery. Like, that's what they're performing in the game, right? So it's that. And then it's stuff we have seen before, but sparingly in other games, but it's Sonic, and you're killing Sonic as the premise of this game. It's really, really clever. And then again, from like the outside perspective, you don't actually, like if you don't play the game and you just hear the name, and it's like, yeah, you might think that he actually died. I'm glad, I will say, like it would have been bold, and it actually maybe would have been too much to like, kill him. So I am glad that it was just like a knockout. He was disposed of for a little bit, and then he kind of comes back. I think it worked out. I definitely think it worked out. So there you go. I really enjoyed my time there, and I'm glad I got to play. I didn't want to like wait too long on this game. I almost waited 8 months. That's not too long, right? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.